Hello, everybody. My name is Doug Hartzheim. For those of you that don't know me, some of you may know my wife, Margot, and some of you might be familiar with Shepherd's Heart Ministry through our work here in the Gallatin Valley in Bozeman, Montana. And Shepherd's Heart is a nonprofit 501c3 group that partners with churches and also does our own thing as far as giving into different areas of the community. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the ministry over there in Ukraine and how Shepherd's Heart and your dollars can go to work to help feed families over there and to provide some housing. Now, Shepherd's Heart in the past has done local events here in the Gallatin Valley, including After Hours, which is a men's night, which for nearly 4 years served between 60 and 120 guys per month, and we would cook the dinners and have a Bible study, and it was just a really fun time for the guys. And we're about ready to gear that up again and get it going once again now that we're through COVID. Words for Wives is an event that my daughter put together years ago. She'll have 140 to 150 women each month come, and then they'll have the other women, mentor women. We'll talk about raising kids and developing solid marriage relationships. Back during the heat of COVID, Shepherd's Heart was the flow-through channel for funds and fundraising to an event here in town that one of our after-hours guys, Troy Doral, put together, which was a Friends Helping Friends event, which we all together raised nearly $30,000 that flowed through Shepherd's Heart. I think about $10,000 of that, 8 to 10,000 was Shepherd's Heart funds. And then the community chipped in the rest. Potato farmers provided truckloads of potatoes. We bought meat from a butcher shop in Butte, Montana for giveaway, for wrapping, and they wrapped it up and we gave it away. And then, pallets of canned goods from Costco and so on and so forth. The American Simmental Association chipped in on that as well with a significant contribution, as did Town and Country Grocers. So those are the types of things that we do. And what normally would be just a typical April month, where for guys like me, I'm looking forward to watching the Masters tournament this week on TV. Our minds are, for many of us, are across the world on what's going on in Ukraine and in Poland. It was my privilege to go there with my good friend Brian, and we kind of mapped out a plan. We went there to hopefully get the lay of the land and to map out a plan to see how we could help and what needs we could bring back here to the United States and get behind. And through nothing short of a miracle, we met a missionary named Peter Pollock. And Peter is about my age, been a missionary his whole life, served in Tanzania for 13 years, taught in Russia for years, fluent in Russian, and was raised in Poland until he was 17 years old. So he's completely fluent in the Polish language, which in this day and age is a really big deal because of nearly 2 million refugees that are trying to find a safe harbor there in Poland while they wait for things to settle down back in Ukraine. We got down there about 2 weeks ago, and not knowing for sure, people would ask us, well, what are you going to do when you get there? And truly, like any mission trip, it just kind of develops as you go. And as my friend Brian said, it's like God leaves us trails of breadcrumbs and we follow the crumbs. And what was really neat about our first day there is we ran into Peter, and we were at Convoy of Hope. Convoy is I believe, an Assembly of God group that is a disaster relief organization that shows up in disasters all over the world, the earthquake in Tibet, the fires in California. And they have a warehouse that they rented in Lublin, Poland. So we showed up there through mutual friends that both Brian had and that I had that are associated with Convoy of Hope. But the interesting thing was when we got there that afternoon, Peter happened to show up, and we have another video of Peter on the Shepherd's Heart website that I'd like for you to see, and that'll give you an idea of the scope and the depth of what the church is doing in Poland for the Ukrainian people, both in Poland and in Ukraine. And it's just been a fascinating thing to behold. And the church that Peter has relations with there has has 65 churches in both Poland and Ukraine, and their mission, honestly, is just to spread Jesus throughout Europe. And because of the Ukrainian crisis, what has happened is the pastor there in Warsaw has basically become the stepping off point for building or generating aid, bringing these truckloads of goods in, and then reloading them, repackaging them so that they're ready to go when they get into Ukraine. In other words, you can't just send a pallet of diapers in a van to some village in Ukraine. That pallet has to have wheat and flour and corn and beans and diapers and baby formula. And so they reorganized the pallets in Warsaw. Pastor Alex's group does, and this is all on video on Heart's website. And then they send these trucks, three complete semi trucks every day, come in and go out. When it gets to Ukraine, they drop their trailers, come back, and then the people in Ukraine offload these pallets and put them on what they call sprinter vans, and in some cases small SUVs. And then they have 200 drivers that go around Ukraine to the farthermost parts wherever they can, and risk their lives to get these goods and products into the refugee centers and the basements of these subways where people are basically holed up waiting for this war to run itself out. Two of their drivers have already been killed, and one is wounded and in a hospital. So it's the highest risk endeavor to drive these vans to get the products into all the cities. It's just an extremely dangerous situation, and they're the heroes of this whole enterprise. So what Pastor Alex has done is, through his pastor down in Lublin, so Warsaw is in the center of Poland, Lublin is a couple hours south, and then it's another couple hours down to the border of Ukraine. And the Pastor Alex in Warsaw, who you can see on the other video on our website, has another pastor down in Lublin named Sergei. And Sergei has just rented a house because we told him that we would support that. And so our idea is that we can make a dent, and they needed the funds to do it. So our goal is to rent 2 to 3 houses. And we're committing to 2, and just trusting God that we get the support to get this all done. But we'll make it happen. And we're very encouraged by what we're seeing from some of our churches here in Bozeman and out in California. It's a little too early for me to name churches because I don't want to speak too soon on that, but we're just really encouraged by the desire to help our brothers on that side of the world. And so what they're going to do there, though, is we've got a house identified, and today is Thursday, the 14th of April, and Pastor Sergei was supposed to rent that house today. We wired the money yesterday. We rented him, well, we sent them $5,000, which should be enough, hopefully, to do a first month and a security deposit. And we think we're going to have to raise nearly $100,000 a year to do these 3 houses. And we're committed to making sure that happens. But we can't do it without you. And if you're like me, you've been watching that news for the last 5-6 weeks, and you couldn't get away from it. The devastation and the tragedies were just so wide and broad spread that it just got our attention, and we couldn't get away from it. So we didn't know quite what to do. So my friend Brian and I went over there, and God just kind of answered our prayers, because we met not just missionary Peter, but then we met Pastor Alex there in Warsaw. We met a man by the name of Troy Cullen over there in Lublin, who is also a missionary, and we're supporting some of his people in financial monthly assistance that fled Kyiv. And these people were sitting in line for 36 hours to go less than 5 kilometers. That's less than 5 miles, and just to get out of there. They had all 8 lanes of freeway. Normally there's 2 directions. They pointed it all west, all outbound. And even then, it took, like I say, 36 hours for that last 5 miles. And it took them, 4 or 5 days to get from Kyiv all the way over to the Polish border. Really a time to be proud of the church, and the mission here is not just housing, it's not just financial support, but it's what the Polish people and the missionaries call soul care. And the idea is that we get 3 or 4 families in a house, but one of those families is a solid team that is versed in the mentoring and shepherding of the spiritual life of the people that are under their care. And so no matter what we do, Jesus is at the center. It's all about eternity. It's not just about sending money or sending food or sending housing just to extend somebody's time here on earth, but it's about the developing the relationship and the trust and the faith in an almighty God that is sovereign, even though at times like this it looks like nobody's in control. The church over there is just really serious about this, the concept of developing the spiritual life of those in need. So we feel really good that we landed in the right place, but we need your help. So we need help for about a year. So if you could consider $50 a month, $100 a month, $10, whatever you can do, it doesn't really matter. If we get enough people, and then we get some of our other churches on board, we'll be able to help these guys, and they know what to do with it. Already, we've re-rented our first house just today, and we've got at least 2 more that we need to do. And I've just got the brakes on a little bit until I get some answers back. And so if you could go to Shepherd's Heart Shepherd's Heart min.org, you'll find our website. There's several different Shepherd's Heart across the country. Different churches are named Shepherd's Heart. This is Shepherd's Heart min.org. And I'm going to put that page up here in just a minute and just hold it on the screen for a little bit in case you have trouble understanding or the verbiage here. But thank you so much for your help. I'm not a fundraiser, as you can tell, but I think we can all do our part. And just if we all do a little bit, America will stand with our Christian brothers and sisters over on the other side of the world. It is nothing less than just astounding how the Polish people have opened their hearts. I had one pastor of a church over there. I asked him, I said, boy, you must be really proud of your church, because his church and 7 other churches for the last several weeks have been organizing and putting people on buses and sending them to Switzerland and Spain and Germany. And the government basically hands these people to the church because they trust the church. And he said, I am proud of the church, but I'm also really proud of all of the Polish people, because nobody ever realized what great hearts the Polish people had until, or at least the world didn't notice it until this episode took place. And so he's really proud of his nation and the government and, of course, the church. So thanks for your help. Please go to our website, and there's a place to donate there. You can just get online. You can click on, check the monthly or the weekly or one-time donation. And by the way, nearly 100% of the funds we raise go to mission. And 100% of what you give us for Ukraine will go to Ukraine. We're not taking 0.5% or a few $100s. We're not taking anything out of this. I mean, even last year, 99.5% of what came in over the last several years has just gone to mission. And my trip to Poland, I paid for that myself. The meals that we ate over there, I paid for that. We don't put anything on the credit card. There was 1 or 2 meals in Poland that I bought the missionaries dinner with a Shepherd's Heart card, which was probably $50 or $60. But we were really concerned about, that's why you're getting this 2-bit video, because instead of spending $1,500 with the local video guy to make this kind of fancy, here I sit in my office and I'm doing it on an iPhone, but we just won't spend money on any frivolous expense or any expense that's not needed, because 100%, in this case for Poland, again, and Ukraine, 100% of every dollar you give us will go directly to housing or support over there. And we're very proud of that. And there's no other of the bigger name groups that are working over there that you can say that to, or say that about, because everybody has overhead. In this case, we're just a flow-through conduit of money that heads for missions. So God bless you. Please give it consideration. And, I'm just very excited the fact that we don't have to just watch the news and do nothing. We actually have an opportunity to do something and make a difference. And it's all because of everybody chipping in. Thanks a million. God bless. Bye-bye.